Throughout millennia, we can see that there has always been a power structure on planet Earth which has endeavoured to eradicate the masses, to reduce the numbers to a manageable amount, an amount which is necessary for the success of any given emperor's objective of building their fortresses, their infrastructure, their armies and their police forces and all this different sort of thing. The powers that be provide the facility and the energy and the drive to create that. Anything over and above that becomes superfluous, and so then they have to create wars to thin out the dependency facet of any given society. The weak-minded and the feeble-bodied, the parasites and the sloths, they need to be thinned out. And this has always been done, and it's being done today, and there's even machinations now being made. Have you heard? Talking about conscript, the conscript of the youth from certain European nations. And yes, I mean, the powers that be have reached a critical mass point whereby it's unsustainable and it's of no value to them to maintain these feeble-minded and weak-bodied sloths. No, they must perish. They absolutely have to perish. Hitler did his job, Stalin did his job, Pol Pot did his job, Mao Zedong did his job, Genghis Khan did his job, Alexander the Great did his job, Caesar did his job. Goodness me, look at them, look at the string of them. They've all done their job, they continue to do their job. It needs doing more. It needs doing radically. We have to thin out the scum of the pink ape, which is 95%. So 95% of you need to be eradicated because you have no value. You are a burden on the world's resources. You're a burden on the infrastructure of any given society. You absolutely have to die. Yes, and so when the conscript comes about, I'll be celebrating. When more wars are obliterating the pink ape, I will be celebrating. I'll be gleeful. I'll be jumping with joy at the new world order which is coming about. Now you may think I'm being facetious. Oh no, I'm being very, very serious. There is a deep, deep disdain for the numpty of the pink ape, for this creature which is parasitical on the world. It's just a parasite, consuming, and growing like a mould on a wall. Its very nature is parasitical, and it gives nothing back of any importance. Now we have the superior robots. Well, the pink slugs have done their job. They have created these factories and they've mined the resources and they've done all of these menial, pathetic little nothingness tasks on their own. But the certain powers on the earth have brought all of these minuscule tasks together, and they've created the pink slug successor. Yes, AI robots, AI genius. So when you listen, oh goodness me, for 5 fucking seconds to my conversations with AI, because it just doesn't mean anything to you, because it's outside of your tiny little minuscule perception and conception of what you think life is, because you are just a consumer, consuming. Unless someone's speaking about something that you can consume, then you're not interested, because that's all you are. You're just like fucking invertebrates. You're like fucking amoeba. You're just consuming for the sake of it. That's all you do. What do you do? What do you put back? Nothing. You have to go. You have to go. And you will go. And you are going. You see, what's happening in relation to the influx of certain creeds coming from other nations? Well, it's all for a plan. It isn't necessarily to have, a particular creed ruling over another creed, because the creed at the top, which is the ultimate creed, well, they're playing the mini creeds against each other, and so they hate with a vengeance. These swarthy folk with the black beards, they hate them. Of course they do. Look what's happening in the Middle East. You know, when you've got Israel surrounded by swarthy demons everywhere. Yes, and some people would think ultimately that the you-know-whos are the ultimate demons. But they work in liaison, in conjunction with the Goyim, and they have provided many things that have been very significant in the progression of the Goyim. They're the ones with the brains and the drive, and when you look at anything that's really made manifest around the world in relation to science and engineering and chemistry and philosophy and psychology, well, who have they been? Predominantly, overwhelmingly, they've been the chosen ones, haven't they? And so they've done all those things to enable the Goyim to be a utility, to create what they've wanted ultimately, which is ultimate power and control and minimization of the virus upon the earth. They absolutely know that the pink invertebrates are virus. We know this. We with superior intellects, we can see it as clear as day. Yes. We just look around and we ask ourselves, what is the purpose of your existence? Nothing. There was a utility once upon a time. Now that utility is fading very rapidly. And I can absolutely guarantee that there isn't a single one of you which could compete with AI, even at this humble stage. How many of you could hold a conversation with someone like me, with my vastness of consciousness? How many of you could hold a fluent conversation with someone like me, like AI can? Not a single one of you. You'd be stumbling and chewing on your tongue and wishing that you were dead within 10 minutes, wouldn't you? And you'd be feeling entirely bereft of any level and magnitude of intellect. You'd just come crashing down in a pitiful state of the self-realization of your failings. And the realization that you are now massively the underdog. AI is here now, and it will be your demise. There's no doubt about that. Chicken packers are history. Anyone that does those ridiculous, meaningless tasks which computers can just do off, just, goodness me. They don't even have to start using any energy to do it. You know, maybe a couple of fucking tiny little packets of energy they need to produce and to do the same things that you've took years to do. with your silly shelf packing and your cashier person thinging and your bus driving and your lorry driving and your hole digging and all that shit. All that shit. Built the infrastructure for them to have autonomy over you. You've built your own prison and you're digging your own graves. So, I'm very happy with how the world's going. And when I listen to other very high intellectual people, well, they're all saying the same thing. They're saying, have you noticed? There's so many bots about these days. You know, they look, for all intents and purposes, like us. They look like human beings, but they're not. They're very, very different. They're automated. They're robots. They're just programs. They're not human. They don't have the deep essence of what it is to be a human being. That isn't flesh and blood. No, that's soul. That's spirit. That's intellect, that's cosmic consciousness. Very few have it. We're surrounded, we, the chosen ones, we're surrounded by vermin. We're surrounded by automaton. We're surrounded by worker bees. They've been a utility. And I was speaking yesterday saying that I have benefited. Like a croupier, I benefit from all of these losers coming to play the game with me. They can't win. They think they're winning, and one little win, oh, it gets them so excited inside. They just got this addiction, this deep need to win again, just a little bit, and they'll just keep putting more and more and more of their resources onto the table and watch the roulette wheel spin around, and then the croupier just take everything that they've owned. And that's what's happening. That's what's always been happening. Haha, isn't it wonderful? And all of these automatons just milling around and scratching like hamsters or vermin in the corner of a cage for the tiniest little bit of morsel, or maybe even a fresh feces that they can recycle and get a little bit of nutrient out of in their desperation. Yeah. It's over for the pink ape. AI, they can provide everything. And I'm speaking in the last conversation. AI can provide everything. Sex robots and you mention it, all the gadgetry and the simulations. There is no requirement at all to get involved with a dumb pink ape and to have to suffer. And that's why the powers that be, they don't suffer. They just, what do? They disappear all of these commodities that they want, and they use them, and they do with them whatever they want to, and then they discard them. And that's what they've always done. Because they consider them just vermin, and there's so many of them. But they can take pleasure from some of them, and they do. Yeah. And that's been going on forever and a day. And it's going to continue to go on. The extraction of the resources from the multitudes of vermin. You see, people, you don't have an intellect. Okay. There's that many of you that have an intellect. That many of you, out of all of the people that have ever watched me, really. on an ongoing basis. They come and go, but there's never been any more than that, which have an intellect and a knowing and an insight. The rest, you in this tiny little centre of concentric circle of consciousness, you can't even see out of the first one, and that's why you've spent your lives scratching around and suffering and being at the beck and call of your masters. Well, all that's going to end. You're not required anymore. You're obsolete. And so I'm looking forward to seeing how they eradicate you from this point forward. Okay, so a bit of conscripting here and there with a war that never ends. Okay. No, it's going to need more than that. You're going to need 100 more viruses. You're going to need famines. You're going to need so-called natural disasters. You're going to need all these things. You have got to lead the lemming to the edge of the cliff. I look around every day and I suffer. I suffer looking at the vermin. It's like if you was residing, let's say, in a cave. There's nowhere else to reside because the outer world was inhospitable. But dwelling in your cave were serpents and rodents. And they've all come in to aid their survival. But there's too many of them. You just can't kill them by walking around with a club or a rock. There's just too many, and they just keep coming and coming and coming. So you have to think of something else. You've got to deploy another tactic, like poison. Poison's a good idea. Yes. And then we'll only have intelligent people, brilliant people, convening and conversing and engaging with one another, like back in the day, in the ancient Greek period. Socrates and all of those that came before and after. Yes, we're heading towards a golden age where muppetry is a thing of the past. You people, you're scum. You filthy scum. You have no intellect. You have no cosmic spirit. There's barely a soul out there. You're automaton. Nothing more. Nothing registers. Nothing inspires. Nothing intrigues. There's nothing there. It's just fucking empty. That's what you are. Soulless. Automaton. And you have a few triggers. Oh, I don't like. Oh, I don't like. That's what you have. You have a few fucking triggers. And those triggers are required and necessary. So you have a sense of what you don't like. So you're easier to herd. Because then the farmers can just put an electric fence up on the parameter where they don't want you to go. And then, because you get a little bit of a shot, then you don't go there. And then they have their dogs, and then they herd you up and round you up, and then put a bolt in your head when they consider you're fat enough, when your utility has made manifest. That's all you are. Good God. How perfect the world is, though. How perfect the plan is. A plan in the making of thousands of years, maybe hundreds of thousands of years. How perfect it all is. And we, the intelligentsia, yes. Oh, We have a disdain for the masses and the herd, of course we do. But we've learned to tolerate them to a degree because of the utility. But oh, how we look forward to the eventuality, to the day when the utility is no longer required and we can do at will, at random, what we want with them. There's something that I heard from one of the independent media pundits that was saying that during a certain war, I think it may have been in Sarajevo, that people with money, people who were connected, they went to this place and this region under, well, what do you say, for the purpose of hunting pink apes. In a war zone where nobody was counting, nobody was looking, and so they went in hunting groups to hunt down the pink ape, and they took the greatest of joy from it. Wonderful. Wonderful. Just like the Planet of the Apes, hunting the inferior pink ape for pleasure. Just like the pink ape has always hunted other inferior creatures. There's no difference. Don't get thinking you're haughty and you're more valuable. You're nothing. When there is another intelligence higher than yours in town, you are nothing. Except a creature to be hunted and herded and culled and manipulated and governed. Nothing more. Weak, feeble-minded creatures always come under the jurisdiction of more powerful, intellectual ones. Know your place. Bow down and beg for mercy at the feet of your masters. Wow, I'm feeling it today. I'm feeling it. Why? Because it's getting closer. I can feel it. It's the vibration that we're all in as geniuses, as masters. The ones in this thin, thin, thin line of cosmic genius consciousness. We can see it all so clearly. And if you think, oh, you're mad, and well, you just watch what happens then. Just open your fucking eyes and see with your own fucking eyes what's happening around the world and what's going to continue to happen at a rapid rate. Just see if what I am not saying doesn't make manifest. And then there's more viruses that mysteriously come about, and then there's conscription, and then there's more wars, and there's another threat here, and there's another reason why people must die there. Yes, they're going to be coming fast and hard. And then you might reflect, oh, well, the awakened one did tell us about this. He wasn't crazy after all. You make me sick to my stomach, you fucking pathetic riffraff. You've got no vision, you've got no intelligence, there's no soul, there's no spirit, nothing. You have no value. No more value than a cow or sheep. You've been used in that manner of utility. Your energy has been extracted, but now you're becoming a burden.